The cold October air wrapped around me like a wet blanket, chilling my bones and quickening my pulse with each step I took down the tree-lined street of Haverford Heights. Leaves in vibrant hues of orange, red, and yellow danced to the ground around me, and I watched them swirl in the wind, but that was the last thing on my mind. With every crunch of the leaves beneath my boots, memories assaulted me like the snappy autumn air, bring to life the past I had tried so hard to bury. It is strange how a single moment, a single betrayal can shift your world on its axis, isn't it? I felt the roughness of each leaf as they crunched beneath my feet, mirroring the roughness of my memories and the pain it carried. I could almost hear his laugh ringing in my ears, feel the disbelief wash over me as his betrayal unfolded. Why would you do this? The words felt so heavy then, a lead weight resting on my tongue like a bitter pill, and now they echoed in my mind, taunting me, refusing to let me forget. Amelia, you cannot be serious. I could hear my voice ringing with incredulity as I stared blankly at the scene before me, the two of them intertwined, blind to my existence, lost in a moment that should have belonged only to us. The betrayal was raw, fresh, a festering wound that refused to heal. I had thought we had a connection, a bond forged in the fire of shared dreams and midnight confessions, and yet here I stood, an outsider peering into my own life, hollow and broken. I shook my head as I walked, pushing the memory back into the recesses of my mind to where it belonged, but it fought against me, a relentless tide of anger ready to swallow me. "Oh, Amelia," I whispered to myself, the sound of my own voice mixing with the rustling leaves and the distant laughter of children playing somewhere nearby. "You deserve this. You need this." I took a deep breath, inhaling the crisp air, marveling at how it filled my lungs and felt like a life-giving force while every thought dragged me down. What was wrong with me? Why did the betrayal hurt so much when I had seen it coming? Each step felt heavier, burdened by everything I felt, everything I wanted to say, and everything I ripped away. But now I wanted revenge, a sweet revenge that would awaken a dormant part of me, a voice that would no longer be stifled. I could feel a spark igniting within me, shining bright against the cold darkness of betrayal. The streetlights flickered as I neared my destination, casting an eerie yet inviting glow on the pavement ahead. The familiar silhouette of the coffee shop came into view, a small haven of warmth and comfort I had frequented countless times before. Dramatic as it may sound, I often thought of it as my refuge, a place where I could pour my heart into words as rich as the brew steaming before me. But tonight, it would be different. I had a plan, and plans required caffeine. I pushed the door open, letting the warm air wash over me, wrapping me up in familiarity. The smell of ground coffee beans and baked pastries filled the shop, the kind of aroma that could coax a smile even on the darkest days, but not tonight. Tonight, it smelled like opportunity. "Amelia, long time no see," the barista called, her bright smile stretching across her face as she spotted me. I gave her a weak smile in return, swirling the icy remnants of my anger deep within. I took a moment to observe her. She was cheerful and unburdened like spring flowers blossoming, while I was more like autumn leaves, withering and falling away into decay. "Hey there, can I get a large dark roast, please?" I asked, my voice steady but almost foreign to my own ears, like I was playing a part in a cruel play I never signed up for. As she busied herself with the coffee machine, I took a seat by the window, allowing my eyes to scan the small cafe. The clinking of mugs and the murmur of friendly conversations filled the air, a stark contrast to the storm brewing within me. "Coming right up," she said cheerfully, sending a jolt of déjà vu through me. I used to be that cheerful girl not so long ago. I used to believe everything would work out, that love would conquer all, and that friendships were unbreakable. I tried to shake off the memories and the slight ache that came with them. Feeling an itch behind my eyes, I forced my gaze out the window, catching sight of the vibrant colors of fall, a reminder of the upheaval in my life. My thoughts turned towards him. I imagined him out there somewhere basking in his happiness, the girl he chose over me nestled against his side. I ashed my fist against the table, the sound sharp and startling amidst the gentle chatter of the cafe. How could they just move on? How could he? "Your coffee." The barista interrupted my spiraling thoughts as she placed the steaming cup before me. The rich aroma wafted toward me, and I closed my eyes momentarily, letting it wash over me with warmth. "Everything okay?" she asked, her brow furrowing with concern as she caught a glimpse of the turmoil written across my face. "Oh, yeah, everything's fine," I replied, but the words tasted bitter. I grabbed the cup, needing the warmth to steady my jittery hands. "Just trying to figure some stuff out." The barista nodded, though I could tell she wasn't convinced. It was easier to keep my pain hidden behind a mask of normalcy. I took a forceful sip of the hot coffee, letting it burn my throat, seeking clarity in the heat. I flicked my gaze back out into the world just beyond the glass, the wind swirling leaves in a chaotic dance, and a plan began to take shape in my mind, planted like a seed of revenge. The vision of him, the way he turned away, laughter ringing in his voice, eyes sparkling with delight as he betrayed everything we built, ignited something deep within me, awakening a fire that longed for retribution. I could not let this go unanswered, and what could be sweeter than a taste of revenge? "Hey, Amelia." The barista approached again, her kind eyes filled with concern. "You do know we're always here to listen if you ever need someone to talk to, right?" "Thanks, but I think I'm good." I forced a smile, though warmth crept into my heart at her kindness. "I just need to work through some things on my own." "Okay, but if you change your mind, just say the word. We're here." With that, she walked away, leaving me alone with my unresolved thoughts. With each sip of my coffee, the ideas took form in my mind. The lingering doubts gave way to determination as I laid out my plan, layer by layer. The first step was finding a way to lure him back. I chuckled quietly considering how odd it was, luring someone back only to seek revenge. I needed to make him think it was all forgiven, that I had moved on. You see, betrayal often blinds people, but they will never see the knife until it is already plunged into their back. I pictured them together, him with that radiant smile, thinking she was the answer to his happiness. Oh, how naive. What he didn't know was that I was not done yet. "This is just the beginning," I whispered to myself, another surge of confidence filling me. "It's time to play the game." But what game? I paused and thought, fingers drumming pensively against the ceramic mug. Revenge was never simple, nor should it be. It has to be calculated with precision, turning his full enjoyment into a stage of desperation, a scene of his making, but mine to craft. I could feel the thrill wash over me. I could practically see the steps laid out before me, each one closer to that moment when I would finally have my say, when I could expose his betrayal for what it truly was. The world outside the cafe continued to swirl with mundane chaos. The distant car horns, children laughing, a dog barking, all things I wished I could immerse myself in before that dark shadow of betrayal clouded my life. I couldn't let myself be chained down by it any longer. As lines began to blur between loved ones and heartbreaks, I felt the weight of the world lift away as my plan solidified. I smiled, the bitter sting of betrayal twisting into something strangely energizing, invigorating even. Friends become foes, hearts turn cold, and love morphs into a fiery desire for revenge. It was a cycle that could not end until I found my peace. I took another sip of coffee, feeling bolder than before. "Let the game begin," I declared softly, and in that moment I felt liberated. With every sip, I nourished my resolve to take back the power I had lost, fully embracing the dark whispers of revenge. As I sat by the window, the world outside dancing in bright colors, I couldn't help but feel like I had awakened the side of myself that had been dormant, waiting to emerge. The cold autumn air became a metaphor for my brewing storm, and with a heart so alive with ambition, I began shaping my own destiny, one carefully plotted step into the night that would echo into the very depths of my past. Soon enough, he would know the pain he had inflicted. Soon enough, he would feel every ounce of betrayal that spiraled within my chest, and once he did, there would be no turning back. I stood in the living room of my small apartment, shadows dancing on the walls as dusk crept in through the thin curtains. The air was thick with the scent of stale coffee and unwashed dishes, remnants of my chaotic life. I glanced around, letting my eyes linger on the framed photographs that adorned the walls. Memories of happier times stared back at me, smiling faces, carefree laughter, now just ghosts of a past I felt slipping further away. But right now, the warmth of nostalgia was replaced by a cold, steely resolve focused on one goal. I was not going to let myself be a victim anymore. After everything that had happened, the frustration boiled inside me like a kettle ready to blow. I could hear the faint buzz of my phone against the countertop, the screen lighting up with a message that pulled me from my thoughts. It was from a contact I hadn't expected to hear from again, a name that stirred so much rage within me. The message read simply, "I need to talk. Can we meet?" A pang of disbelief shot through me. Did he really think I would just drop everything and meet him? But curiosity gnawed at my insides. I felt a mix of hope and apprehension. I needed to hear what he had to say, if only to silence the questions that echoed endlessly in my mind. After a few seconds of deliberation, I replied, my fingers dancing across the screen, "Where?" As the minutes ticked by, I paced back and forth across the tiny room, my heart racing like a drum in my chest. Finally, my phone chimed again. "How about the old cafe? 7 o'clock." I frowned. The old cafe, it was a place full of bittersweet memories. It was where we had shared our first date, where we laughed and planned for a future that never came. But it was also where everything crashed down, where my world shattered into a million irreparable pieces. I clenched my fists, feeling the rawness of every emotion I had buried deep for far too long. No more running away from my feelings, I thought. It was time to confront the source of my pain head-on. My mind was spinning, replaying everything that led to this moment. "You did this to yourself," I muttered under my breath, staring at my reflection in the small mirror above the sink. I knew I had to take control, no more being the victim. As I made my way to the cafe, the streets of Haverford Heights blurred by in a wash of muted colors. The evening air was cool, brushing against my skin like a whisper, but I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks, a mix of anxiety and determination. I walked faster, letting the rhythm of my steps drown out the doubt that clawed at the back of my mind. When I reached the cafe, an ancient building with faded paint that used to be charming, I hesitated for just a moment, my hand brushing the wooden door. The bell jingled softly as I pushed it open, the familiar scent of baked goods and brewed coffee wafting over me. I scanned the room, spotting him seated in a booth by the window. My stomach twisted in knots as he looked up and waved. With each step toward him, that resentment I had bottled up began to bubble to the surface. "You have some nerve showing up here," I said as I slid into the booth opposite him. "What do you want?" He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous habit I remembered all too well. "I need to explain?" "No," I interrupted, my voice sharp, cutting through the air like a knife. "You don't get to explain anything. You made your choices, and I'm done being understanding." His face fell slightly, and I could see the regret etched across his features. "Amelia, please, just listen." I crossed my arms tightly, feeling the walls I had built around myself fortify. "Listen to what exactly? How you betrayed me, how you built up everything we had and then threw it all away. It wasn't like that," he insisted, his eyes pleading. "I never meant for it to happen." "Not like that?" I echoed, biting back laughter infused with bitterness. "What a convenient excuse. You didn't just trip and fall, you took a massive detour right into someone else's arms. So please, don't sit here and act like it was some accident." Tension hung thick in the air as the waitress came by to take our orders, her bright smile faltering as she sensed the weight of our conversation. I could feel all eyes on us. I wanted to sink into the booth and disappear. My gaze flickered back to him. He was wringing his hands together, the smooth skin of his palms breaking out in sweat. "Amelia, stop calling me that. What do you think that name means to me now? It feels so foreign, so tainted. Just say what you came here to say." My heart raced, the anticipation nearly overwhelming as I leaned forward, needing to know what he wanted out of this twisted reunion. "I came to say I'm sorry," he breathed, his voice earnest, the weight of sincerity dulling the edge of my anger momentarily. "I messed up. I was stupid and selfish. I thought I could handle her, but I was wrong. I lost sight of everything, including you. And now you want me to take you back? That is rich," I scoffed, shaking my head. "You think an apology is enough to fix the pieces you shattered into oblivion?" "I don't expect you to forgive me," he said quietly, his eyes downcast. "But I need you to know that I was lost. I was grasping at straws, and I thought that maybe it was easier, that things could be different. But I see now that I was an idiot." "An idiot," I repeated, bitterness spilling from my lips. "That's what you think this is? A mistake? You don't just mistake love. You do mistake how you treat someone. You made a choice. You think by admitting that now, it somehow takes away the pain?" He looked up at me with desperation in his eyes as if he was searching for something, an entryway back into my heart, perhaps. "I wish I could take it all back. You have to believe me." "And what about her?" "That was a mistake too. It had nothing to do with you," he pleaded, his voice rising. "It had everything to do with me. I was standing right there in front of you and still you chose someone else. What was it that I lacked? You were never lacking. You were everything I ever wanted, but I was too stupid and confused to realize that. I didn't see what I had until I lost it." He leaned across the table, the intensity of his gaze pinning me in place, making my pulse race against my will. "I see you now, I really do. You're strong, fierce, and I was blind." Suddenly, I felt like I was trapped in a cyclone of emotions, swirling and crashing around me. There he was, the boy who had once swept me off my feet, begging for a chance to explain himself. Anger coursed through me, but there was also an undeniable ache. "Do you think I can just flip a switch and go back to who I was before?" I know it is not that simple, he replied, his voice softer, more vulnerable now. But I am willing to do whatever it takes to make it right. I don't want to lose you forever. I shook my head. I wanted to scream, to throw everything around me, but I was numb. The truth hit me like a thunderclap. I had been so angry, so hurt, that I hadn't given myself a chance to heal. And if I say no? I asked, my tone challenging. He swallowed hard, the air thick with tension. Then I will accept it, but I will never stop caring for you. I will never pretend that it didn't matter, because it did. You mattered. The moment stretched like a rubber band ready to snap, the weight of unspoken words lingering. I could feel the walls I had built start to tremble, cracks appearing as memories fought to reemerge, the laughter, the plans, the love that once defined us both. The desire to retaliate surged within me. Maybe it was not him I needed to confront but myself, the emotions I had locked away. You want a chance. You don't get to pick and choose when you want me in your life, when it's convenient for you. I know I don't deserve a chance, he replied fervently. I'm just asking you to consider it. Give me time to prove to you that I can change, that we can change. I wanted to laugh. Chain, a few heartfelt words and suddenly you're transformed? No, I mean it. I know it will take time, but I'm willing to fight for you, for us. You mean too much to lose again. If we just stay apart, we'll never know what could be. I looked into his eyes, seeking sincerity. The anger within me was a storm, but amid the chaos, hope flickered, tenuous yet real. And what about her? You just walk away and she never gets hurt. You want a happy ending at the expense of someone else? He looked pained, guilt flashing across his face. It was wrong and I can't undo that, but I cannot let that dictate my future. I want to make things right, starting with you. I took a deep breath, inhaling the rich aroma of coffee and pastries that lingered in the air, grounding myself in the present. My internal struggle was palpable, a relentless tug-of-war. Here was a chance to take control, to rewrite my narrative, but it came with great risk. I leaned back, contemplating the possibilities. I don't know if I can trust you again, I admitted, my voice quieter, more contemplative. I understand, but I'll be here, ready to earn back that trust, however long it takes. Just don't shut me out completely. The world outside seemed to fade as I weighed my options, as if I were suspended in time. The past echoed in my ears, causing every doubt to resurface. Yet somewhere deep inside, the flicker of hope urged me forward. I need time, I finally whispered, but if you really mean what you say, then maybe there is still a chance for us. His face lit up with tentative hope. The cafe buzzed around us, oblivious to our turmoil, but in that moment I held on to the remnants of my strength, forging a new path. Maybe, I said, feeling the weight of my decision resonate deep within my heart. And as I said the word, I could sense the resolve growing, an ember igniting into something stronger. The road ahead would be bumpy and fraught with memories that would claw at my insides, but for the first time, I felt empowered, not just to confront him, but to confront myself. I wouldn't just wait for life to throw me a chance. I would seize it, even if it felt terrifying. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows that crawled across the cracked sidewalk of Haverford Heights like dark fingers reaching out from a forgotten past. My heart raced as I pulled the collar of my jacket tighter around my neck, the fabric brushing against my skin, a constant reminder of the chill that seeped into my bones. It was not the cold that filled me with dread, but the thought of what lay ahead. I stood at the corner of Maple and Fifth, peering around the familiar street corner as if it were a stranger. The world felt different today, my senses heightened, every sound amplified. The distant laughter of children playing in the park, the rattle of a bus as it passed, and the rustle of leaves whispering secrets in the wind all combined to create an orchestra that played a symphony of anticipation. I had been waiting for this moment, planning, plotting my revenge for far too long. The numbness that had settled in my chest felt strange. It was a concoction of fear and exhilaration. I took a deep breath, the air cold and crisp, filling my lungs with a sense of purpose. That's right, I reminded myself. This was not just a whim, this was justice in my own hands, and I would not back down now. Amelia? A voice called from behind, pulling me from my thoughts. I turned to find a familiar face approaching, a mixed expression of mirth and concern on his features. You looked like you were about to be swallowed by the pavement. Are you ready for this? I hated that he could read my thoughts so easily, but I nodded, determination overriding my panic. Yeah, I'm ready, just processing, you know? Processing or plotting? He teased, a spark of mischief in his voice. I know how you get when there's revenge in the air. Is there a difference? I shot back, a smirk playing on my lips despite the weight of my emotions. I could not let the nerves show, not now. I had rehearsed this scene 1,000 times, and I would not falter now. Fair point, he laughed, running a hand through his tousled hair in that way that made him seem effortless, forever charming. But you know you do not have to go through with this alone, right? I turned my gaze back to the street, biting my lip as I considered his words. I know, but this is my fight. I need to do this myself. The truth felt liberating and terrifying all at once, the words carrying the gravity of my resolve. This was something I had to wrestle with, wrestle to the ground, and stamp out. He looked at me with those eyes, deep, searching, and understanding. You're stronger than you think you are. I believe in you. I felt the familiar tingle of gratitude, a reminder that despite the mountains of hurt piling up around me, I was not entirely alone. Thanks, my mind swirled with everything that had happened. I want to make sure I get it right. I can't just let it go. I can't let them win. Then it's simple, he replied, placing a hand on my shoulder, grounding me. Act like you own the place, because you do. Don't let them see your fear. Right, so what's my game face? I asked, forcing laughter to lighten the heavy air. Scary or just stern? Scary, he said with a mock seriousness that pulled a genuine smile from me. You want them shaking in their boots, not rolling their eyes. Now go on, I'll be right here if you need me. I began walking towards the small cafe where the meeting was to take place. My footsteps felt heavy, yet every stride propelled me forward into the unknown. The scent of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, mingling with the rustle of papers and muted conversations inside the cafe. I pushed through the glass door, a tiny bell ringing overhead, and momentarily froze as the warmth washed over me, the ambient noise enveloping me like a cocoon. I scanned the room, my eyes landing on the table where they were seated, confident, self-absorbed, completely unaware of the storm brewing in my heart. My breath quickened, and I joined the line at the counter, forcing myself to focus on the menu even though I had no intention of ordering anything. A few moments later, I stepped back from the counter, scanning the cafe once more. There they were, huddled together like vultures around a carcass, their easy laughter sending daggers through my resolve. Just then, one of them looked up and caught my eye. I felt a surge of annoyance and anger as her smirk slipped into a predatory grin. Look who decided to show up, she called, her voice dripping with mockery, mesmerizing, and venomous. Thought you were too good to associate with us. Funny. I thought you'd be too ashamed to come out after what you did, I replied, my voice steady, the words rolling off my tongue with an ease I didn't quite feel. The distance between us felt electric, charged with unspoken animosities and past grievances. One of them, a bigger guy with a loud laugh that echoed across the cafe, chimed in. Is little Amelia upset? Maybe you should go home, cry it out, and practice your apologies. We definitely do not want to see you flounder here. I felt the pressure build inside my chest, my heart pulsing angrily against my ribcage. I had always been the one to back down, to walk away, to let their words slice through me and fester like an untreated wound. But not today. They had taken too much from me, and now it was time to take something back. You think this is a joke? I said, surprising myself with the ferocity in my voice. What, that you lost your place in the world? Hardly, she sneered, flipping her hair back with practiced indifference. You were never a contender. You were always just there. Those words tore through me, each one sharper than the last. I could feel my defenses rising, the anger spilling over, brewing into a potent mixture of rage and resolve. You think you can make me feel worthless? You think I care about your opinion? I stepped closer, leaning over the table, their shocked faces a mixture of confusion and disbelief. That was your first mistake. The tension in the air thickened as I watched the realization dawn on their faces, what they had underestimated my ability to endure. One of the girls shifted in her seat, her bravado faltering ever so slightly. And what do you plan to do about it? She asked warily, trying to regain her composure. Unconsciously, I smiled. I plan to expose the truth. The world needs to know what you're all about. My mind raced as I felt my power growing, feeding off their uncertainty, their arrogance slipping through their fingers like the sand in an hourglass. You claim to be perfect, untouchable, but every empire crumbles eventually, and yours will be no different. Laughter erupted from the trio again, but it held a shaky, uncomfortable timbre, the kind you use to mask fear. What do you think you have against us? Some silly rumors from high school? Old grudges? That's weak. The big guy spat, his bravado faltering, exposing the fear beneath. No, it's not just old grudges. It's about justice. I needed to keep them on their toes, keep the momentum pushing in my favor. It's about what you did. The lies, the manipulation, your reign of terror is over. You thought you could hide behind your privilege and power, but I am going to make sure everyone knows the truth, all of it. The leader of the group rolled her eyes, exclosing her face off to my words. You really think anyone cares? She shrugged, the last vestiges of her arrogance hanging by a thread. Go ahead and try. No one will believe you. You're just a bitter little girl. Maybe, I replied, my voice unwavering, but I will not go down without a fight. I felt the adrenaline coursing through me, bolstered by what I knew was right, and my resolve chance cleaved like a sword cutting through the fog, sharper and clearer than I had ever felt before. Good luck with that. She waved her hand dismissively, throwing me the very dismissive expression I had once craved but now reveled in. I considered her for a moment, wondering how I'd ever let someone so shallow affect me. As their laughter subsided, I could see the cracks in their armor, and it filled me with a sense of victory. Oh, I will need all the luck and resources I can get. But good luck to you, too. I'm coming for everything you've taken from me. I turned on my heel, the air heavy around me as I stepped away from their table, knowing I had struck a chord. As I exited the cafe into the crisp evening light, I felt like I was stepping into a new chapter of my life, each breath charged with newfound strength and courage. I could hear their voices growing fainter behind me, echoing with uncertainty and insecurity, a sound I would cherish always. The world looked different now, less daunting, and I knew I had truly stepped into my power. I might be a small figure in this large town, but I was fierce, and the story was just beginning. Today was not the end, it was just the turning point. I could taste victory on my lips, and I wouldn't stop until it was mine. The rain fell in relentless sheets as I parked the car in front of the old coffee shop. It looked as worn down as I felt, its paint peeling under the weight of the gloomy weather, the flickering sign almost begging for help. I glanced at the clock on my dashboard, my heart racing in anticipation. Inside, the chatter of voices mingled with the smell of burnt coffee pierced the dampness that clung to the air. This was the place, the one where I was supposed to meet him. As I stepped out into the storm, icy droplets soaked through my coat within seconds. I had promised myself that I would be prepared for this moment, but nothing had quite prepared me for the turmoil swirling within me. Was I really ready for this? I let out a shaky breath, urging myself to remember my purpose. Each step I took seemed to echo in my mind, a reminder of every wrong I was hoping to right. The bell above the door jingled as I entered, and a wave of warmth enveloped me. I quickly scanned the small room, searching for him. There he was, slouched in a corner booth, a warm mug cradled between his hands, steam swirling lazily above. His eyes flicked up to meet mine, and for a heartbeat, the world around us faded. A glimmer of recognition flickered in his gaze, rapidly replaced by that familiar smugness that always set my teeth on edge. I approached the table, nerves tightening in my chest like a vice. "Amelia," he said, the corner of his mouth lifting into a smirk that made my blood boil. "I wasn't sure you'd actually show up." "Of course I would," I replied, forcing my voice to sound strong, even as my palms grew clammy. "I have something to say, and I plan to say it." I slid into the seat across from him, the vinyl squeaking against the wet fabric of my coat. The moment I was seated, I could hear the low hum of conversation and the clattering of cups, yet it all felt distant. My focus tunneled in on him. He was confident, relaxed, and I hated how much that infuriated me. It made me wonder if he felt even a fraction of the guilt that drowned me. "Is that so?" he asked, tilting his head, his expression teasing. And here I thought we would catch up on old times. Old times. The phrase sent a jolt of fury through my veins. Old times, filled with laughter and shared dreams, had crumbled when he had chosen loyalty to deception over his friendship with me. It felt like it had been a lifetime since I first found out what he was really like, a broken trust that shattered everything I believed in. "There's nothing to catch up on," I spat, anger lacing my words. "You know why I'm here, do I?" The way he leaned back in his seat, so casual, irritated me even more. "You make it sound dramatic, as if I'm some villain in your fairy tale." "Maybe you are," I shot back. It felt good to see a flicker of surprise cross his face, a crack in that arrogant facade. "You ruined years of friendship for a few pieces of silver." He scoffed, waving a dismissive hand as if my words were nothing but annoying gnats buzzing around. "That's rich coming from you. Everyone makes choices, Amelia. You're just bitter because I made one you didn't agree with." "Bitter? You really think this is about bitterness?" I could feel my heart pounding against my ribs, each beat a reminder of the pain I had endured since everything fell apart. "This is about loyalty, and you betrayed it. You hurt everyone who cared about you, including me. You don't get to just saunter in here and pretend like nothing happened." His brow furrowed for a moment, and I could see the flicker of uncertainty dance across his features before he collected himself again. "I can't change the past, Amelia. You should know that. I thought we had moved on." "Moved on? I laughed, a bitter sound that felt hollow even to me. You don't move on from betrayal, not like this, not when people still feel the cuts of your betrayal. Oh, please, he waved his hand in the air. You have made so much out of this. It's like you can't even see how ridiculous you're being. Ridiculous? I clenched my fists under the table, wanting more than anything to reach across it and slap that self-satisfied look right off his face. Ridiculous, I wanted to scream. You have no idea of the mess you created. My life has been in ruins because of you. You ripped apart everything I built with everyone I loved. You think you're the only one who suffered. He replied sharply, anger flashing in his eyes. I was the one who had to make a choice, and it cost me too. Trust me, you are not alone in this. I forced myself to take a deep breath, feeling a sick twist in my stomach. You think I care that you're upset? I never said that, he shot back, leaning forward slightly. But it seems to me you are only here to unload all your frustrations on me, and all it does is make you look pathetic. Pathetic. The word made my insides twist, and I fought to keep my composure. You'll regret this day, I said finally, my voice low but filled with conviction. My internal storm was raging, but I tried to keep my face steady, steady as the ground beneath me felt precarious. He laughed, but there was an edge to it that told me he wasn't entirely sure of himself either. What are you going to do, Amelia? Scare me with words? My heart raced, tension pulsing in the air like a live wire. I had come here with one singular purpose: to make him realize the gravity of his actions, to have him feel even a fraction of the pain he had caused. Part of me wanted to expose him, to show the world what he really was, but how? I came here to make you understand the impact of what you did, I said, my voice steadier now, conviction replacing the doubts. You're not going to walk away from this unscathed. I have worked too hard to bury the past, and you won't just stroll back into my life pretending you're a good guy. Good guy? Please, you don't know the first thing about me, he retorted, leaning back with his arms crossed. What exactly do you want from me, Amelia? You'll see, I thought, but of course, I couldn't say it out loud. I had a plan that rested just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to unleash. You think this is over? That I'm just going to let you take what's mine without consequences? Anger fueled my voice, though I scarcely recognized myself in the fierce tone it had taken on. He shifted slightly in his seat, scrutinizing me. What are you implying? You think you can summon some grand revenge? It's not so romantic in reality, you know. I'm not afraid of you, Amelia. Maybe you should be, I said, leaning in. The intensity of our standoff crackled with unspoken tension, words bridging a distance I was determined to close. I felt the power of my anger mingling with something else, resolve, determination. The bell jangled above us as the door swung open, and I stole a glance at the tempest outside. A woman darted in, her cheeks flushed from the cold. I seized the moment to collect my thoughts. You think I haven't prepared myself for this moment? That I haven't spent sleepless nights planning? You underestimate me. Oh, and what are you planning? A social media post? He mocked, his bravado spilling over the edges of his facade. You think a few words will change anything? They won't. Maybe not words alone, I said, my heart pounded, my resolve hardening. But the truth, people want to know the truth. You have built an empire on lies, and I will make sure they know. His smirk faded, replaced with a cautious expression. You're bluffing, you wouldn't dare. Wouldn't I? I replied, feeling adrenaline flood through me. Your past is littered with secrets, and I'm just getting started. The tension in his posture stiffened, yet I could see the flicker of doubt. You'll regret this, Amelia, he warned, though there was a tremor of uncertainty behind his words. Regret? I laughed, the sound mingling with the rhythmic pitter-patter of the rain outside. I already know what regret feels like, and it's nothing compared to the satisfaction of dismantling everything you've built. You don't get to ruin lives and walk away without facing the aftermath. As anger whirled and grew between us, silence wrapped around the table like a heavy blanket, suffocating and thick. Every minute detail became amplified, the bustling sounds of coffee grinding, the rhythmic tapping of the rain against the window, and his incredulous gaze. This was the beginning, and all I could hope for was that it struck a chord deep within him, forcing him to confront the monster he had become. With my heart still racing, I stood up, the fury coursing through me with renewed energy. I hope you enjoy your victory tonight, because come morning, the world is going to get a very different image of the great and powerful you. I turned and walked toward the exit, stealing one last glance of him in that booth. His smirk was gone, and for the first time, I saw something like fear. As I stepped back out into the rain, a wave of clarity washed over me. The weight on my shoulders began to lift, shriveling under the resolve that filled me. This was not just about revenge, it was about reclaiming my life, turning the tables and forcing him to confront the aftermath of his choices. I felt lighter, stronger, ready to face whatever came next, the storm around me now feeling invigorating instead of paralyzing. Revenge might be bitter, but the sweetness of justice. That was a taste I longed to savor. The air hung thick with tension, a storm brewing just beneath the surface of the freshly painted walls in the room where I stood, staring into the full-length mirror. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding with adrenaline. I was ready for this. The plan had unfolded like a dangerous game of chess, and now the final move was in motion. My reflection was a strange mix of nerves and determination, the vibrant, fiery red of my dress contrasting starkly against the pale color of my skin. I smoothed down the fabric, adjusting the neckline, reminding myself that tonight I was not just Amelia Cooper. I was the curator of the most poetic revenge imaginable, a force to be reckoned with. "You have to do this," I whispered to myself, as the words seemed to fill the empty space around me. "You are strong." I grabbed my purse, its leather cold against my palm, and stepped out into the sultry evening. The night had fallen over Haverford Heights like a blanket, casting the town into a warm, shadowy embrace. Streetlights flickered on one by one, their yellow glow illuminating the paths toward the venue where the charity gala was set to commence. A slight breeze ruffled my hair, and the scent of blooming jasmine enveloped me. I could hear the sound of laughter and music drifting from the hall, but my mind was focused entirely on the task ahead. As I approached, I rehearsed my lines in my head. I would need to keep my composure, maintain poise. The slightest slip could unravel everything. I had come too far to let that happen now. Stepping inside the grand hall was like stepping into another world. The lavish decor sparkled under the bright chandeliers, and the sound of clinking glasses filled the air. My heart raced as I maneuvered through the crowd, my eyes scanning the sea of faces. There they were, people who had once been my friends, who had betrayed me without a second thought, weaving a web of lies that nearly suffocated my dreams. There he was, my well-dressed enemy, laughing at something one of his friends said. The sound irked me, like nails on a chalkboard, as I approached him cautiously, a feline predator circling its prey. "Amelia," he exclaimed, his smile broadening as if he was genuinely pleased to see me. "I didn't expect you to come. I thought you'd be too busy sulking." "Too busy sulking?" I repeated, tilting my head slightly to the side, an amused smile playing on my lips. "Oh, darling, I have moved past sulking. I have been too busy planning." He furrowed his brow slightly, confusion evident on his face. "Planning what?" "Your next art piece." "What a sweet thought," I retorted, glancing around, gathering a few curious gazes from onlookers. They were all here, ready to witness the night's events, the opulence of wealth and deception woven into every conversation. I continued, "Actually, I was planning on showing you just how unwise it is to burn bridges." He chuckled, not taking me seriously despite the sharp undertone in my voice. "Come on, Amelia, get over it. You should have seen it coming." "Should I?" I stepped closer, our faces almost touching. "Is that what you tell yourself to sleep easier at night after ruining someone's life?" "Listen," he said, attempting to backpedal. "I didn't ruin your life. You've got talent. You'll be fine without me. Plus, you know it's nothing personal, right? It was business." "Business?" I narrowed my eyes. "Is that what you call it when you betray someone's trust? Take away their opportunity and then act like it was just a transaction?" He waved his hands dismissively, but I could see that I was getting to him. "You are being dramatic." "Dramatic?" I let out a humorless laugh, my heart pounding in my chest, fueled by the cocktail of anger and resolve. It's dramatic when someone's dreams are stolen right from under them, and then the thief has the audacity to call it a business decision. "Why are you still on this?" "It happened months ago," he snapped defensively, but I could see the flicker of doubt behind his bravado. "Because you still think you can waltz around here, untouched by the consequences of your actions," I said, my voice dropping lower, almost conspiratorial. "And tonight, I am here to show you that consequences exist, even for you." The tension shifted palpably, rippling through the crowd like a ripple in water. His eyes widened slightly as he processed my words. "What do you mean by that?" A smile curled on my lips, serene and cold as ice. "You'll see. All I can say is that instead of allowing you to enjoy this night, I've prepared something very special for you." Just as I said this, the lights dimmed slightly, and an announcement echoed throughout the hall, punctuated by applause and laughter. "Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats for the presentation of our featured artist of the evening." His gaze darted around in alarm, realizing that I was not only present but actively plotting his downfall. "What are you planning?" he asked, his initial bravado cracking. "Relax, you will have front row seats," I said sweetly, taking a step back to create a distance. "After all, this is all just for you." A flash of panic crossed his features, and every muscle in my body sang with triumph. The atmosphere around us buzzed with excitement as the screen lifted, revealing a grand canvas, adorned with an array of vivid colors. I could sense that the moment I had orchestrated was rapidly approaching, each heartbeat syncing with the rhythm of my calculated game. "Enjoy the show?" I called out over my shoulder as I maneuvered away from him, feeling the thrill of victory coursing through my veins. I could practically taste it. As I made my way to the side of the stage, I spotted some of my fellow artists, their faces a blend of curiosity and surprise. I had kept quiet about my plans leading up to this evening, knowing the chaos I was about to unleash would ensure they stood beside me in solidarity. I flashed a knowing smile as I approached them, and they reciprocated with raised eyebrows. "Is it true?" one voice called out, laced with intrigue. "Did you really set up something for him?" "Absolutely," I replied, asserting the confidence that coursed through me. "He needs to see the fruits of his betrayal. He has to understand, this isn't just about revenge, it's about waking him up to the errors of his ways." With a nod of reassurance, I pushed a button on the remote I held in my hand, sending a hush of anticipation through the gathered crowd. The lights shifted again, now a cascading spectrum of colors morphing across the screen. Laughter erupted as the first slide flickered to life, showing snapshots of him, smiling, waving, pretending to be an advocate for the arts while behind the scenes, sabotaging all of it. My heart raced with joy as the truth unveiled him to his peers, stripping away the veneer he had so carefully crafted. "Look!" someone exclaimed, laughter blending with spiteful whispers, and I leaned back, allowing the amusement to flow through me. As the slideshow transitioned from one image to another, I felt my pulse quicken. It showed him networking, shaking hands with the powerful while secretly undermining others, people like me. Clips of our past interactions played without mercy, highlighting every patronizing comment, every dismissive gesture, and every lie he told to further his ambition. "Do you feel the weight of your actions now?" I murmured under my breath, envisioning the look on his face. Reaching the final slide, anticipation built in the air, my heart almost drowning in delight. The last image glowed against the screen like the final act of a Shakespearean tragedy, a collage of those he had hurt through his actions, faces grim but full of resolve, people like me who had found their strength again, who had turned their pain into art. As the final slide faded to black, a deafening hush fell over the crowd before a wave of murmurs surged like a tide. "What does this mean?" someone whispered. I felt satisfaction spread through me like wildfire. It was my moment. Heart racing, I stepped back into the light, relishing the sense of empowerment swirling in the atmosphere. And then, as if on cue, I turned to face him, his expression a cocktail of confusion and dread. Despite the growing noise around us, the world fell silent between us, our eyes locking in a battle of wills. "How does it feel to see the truth laid bare?" I asked, my words cutting through the noise, a dagger poised for the final blow. "Amelia, he started, but his voice wavered as if realizing the gravity of the situation. I raised a hand to silence him, relishing the theater of our confrontation. "You thought you could play with people's lives, didn't you? But tonight, your game ends here." The crowd shifted, eyes darting between us, caught in the web of drama I had so carefully crafted. I saw whispers pass between people, their intrigue morphing into suspicion aimed directly at him. "I am no longer the girl you manipulated for your gain. This is my voice, reclaiming what you stole from me and countless others. Enjoy your spotlight, but remember, betrayal breeds consequences." "Please, Amelia, don't do this," he pleaded, desperation tinted his words. "I made a mistake, I can fix this, I can." "No," I cut him off, shaking my head. "You can't fix what is already broken, nor can you erase the damage you have done. Just remember this moment. I want you to live with the truth, with the chaos and the collapse you have orchestrated within others' lives." With that, I turned on my heels, letting the thrill of victory and liberation wash over me, my heart still thumping with exhilaration. The crowd continued to murmur, the energy around us pulsating as I walked away, leaving him to grapple with the consequences of his betrayal. As I faded into the background, I couldn't help but smile. The night was my triumph, my identity woven back together with strands of self-worth, resilience, and the sweet taste of revenge that had been years in the making. With each step, I felt lighter as I emerged from the shadows, contemplating not just the path I had taken, but the new canvas of opportunity that lay ahead, unmarred by deceit and betrayal. Indeed, I had reclaimed my voice, and perhaps my art would transcend the hurt, reminding me that true power came not from vengeance but from the courage to rise above.